friends, it's Nancy and welcome back to my channel, Wishes and Weeds. If you're new here, I hope you'll take a minute to like and subscribe to my channel. And maybe you're joining me because you have been sent over from Susan's channel, because this month I am the guest host, I guess you would say, or what's my title? Guest collaborator. That's what it is for Junk Journal Madness. It's a collaboration hosted by Susan, and everybody can join in on the project. So if you want to follow along and create a journal like this, I hope that you'll tag me at Wishes and Weeds and use the hashtag JJ Madness on any of the socials where you share your takes on this theme. So the theme, I had sent half a dozen different theme ideas to Susan, and if you saw her video, you saw how she selected and settled on the theme of Marie Antoinette. And I'm especially excited about this because this is going to be something that I haven't done before, but it's something that I've been preparing for. So if you're used to seeing a typical Nancy journal, you know that it's going to be a big book. It's going to have a repurposed cover. It's going to include a ton of authentic ephemera, lots of textiles. That's typical for me. But Marie Antoinette, it's going to have a little bit of royal sparkle. So, as I'm sure you already know, Marie Antoinette was a historical figure. She was the Queen of France at the end of the 18th century. She is remembered for her extravagant gowns and her towering hairstyles, and also for being swept up in the French Revolution. She eventually was killed at the guillotine, and yeah, where do you go from there? But there's been a lot of movies about Marie Antoinette. Of course, she has been famously accused, because apparently it's not true, that when told that the French citizens were starving, they were going without bread, and she said, let them eat cake. You might remember that she had all kinds of scandals. There was the scandal of the diamond necklace, and there was the scandal of a lover. I think he was a Polish count or something. I can't really remember, but maybe you do. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to using lots of pastels and silk and lace and pearls and bling and lots of sparkly gilded details. So I thought what I'd start by showing you is some of the materials that I have been collecting intentionally for years, just for a future Marie Antoinette journal. So we'll start with some of the textiles that I pulled from my collection. So I found this handkerchief with a giant M for Marie. I have some blue lace. This is a especially interesting and different lace. I have this little piece here that I think is kind of special. some pastel fabrics. This is a silk handkerchief. I might incorporate that somewhere. Some embroidered trim. There's the correct side. Some more trim and lace, and I have some vintage ribbon that's all kind of wrinkly. I have this ribbon that has a jacquard pattern of flowers and ribbon bows woven into it. There's some more trims. And then look at this one. Does that not scream Marie Antoinette? And then I have a bunch of bling in here. So these are some bridal hair pieces that I can separate. They're just wired in there, so I can pull some of those out. Have these little flowers with rhinestones. Got another bridal headpiece here. With floral and leaf-looking shapes. Got a little botanical. I've got some broken jewelry in here. I think this was some kind of a bracelet or something. Not sure. There's other pieces down here. I've got some pink rhinestones. This is a dangle that I made, but I never put it on anything. Maybe this is the thing I'm going to put it on. So it's got pink rhinestones and pearls and beads and some butterflies. There's some more sparkly gems in there. This is a button, actually. It's a black button surrounded by... And who knows what else I'll find. Got some sparkly vintage buttons here, too. Next comes all of the... Oh, I've got these flowers too. I'm not sure that I'll use them, but I might use the chiffon part, the pale blue, maybe not the more tealy blue, and of course these pearl stems. Okay, move that aside. Sorry for the glare. Pulled out a ton of paper. I got this at the thrift store just today, actually. And it was green tags were 25% off. So I only paid $0.25 for it. Again, if you're new to my channel, I genuinely appreciate you being here. And I just want you to know that while I don't use digitals, I admire people who do. There are several Marie Antoinette themed digital packages available. One that I saw in particular was Medieval Mirage. So this is some ivy that is, you know, a rub-on. Thought those might be fun for $0.25. Why not? They're probably so old they won't work, but we'll see what happens. I've got some specialty papers here that I had some, you know, pinks and blues, and this one's sort of a gray shade. Some vellum, tissue paper with gold curly hues. This is actually genuine ephemera. I had to cut it down. It came out of a scrapbook, an old vintage scrapbook, and it was really starting to break. I had to glue this back together. So I cut off most of the oldish parts, but I kept it, the big hairstyles and the big mantua skirts, and yeah, the interiors looks maybe Louis the 15th. These also came from a thrift store. I think I paid $3 for them. There might be some little bits in here like that I can use, or maybe that. So I don't know. There might be a few things in here I could make use of. A lot of it's going to be totally inappropriate. But those chairs kind of look interesting. And that collage, maybe not postcard, but this one is cardstock, and I wasn't interested in any. I think there was just a few at the very front that I liked. Or maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't have kept this one. Yeah, I don't remember liking anything in here. Maybe that. Not very pastel-y though. This one is also cardstock, textured cardstock, lots of florals. That's pretty. So we'll see. We'll see. I think this was a magazine image. I don't know. It's for Scotchgard, but I just like the picture of this fabric. Napkins and tissue paper. I had some decoupage paper somewhere. Who knows? This is 49 in Market. It's very thin paper, and I got it a long time ago, a couple years ago now anyway. And it's beautiful, and I haven't used it. But maybe some of this can go in. Look at that. Gorgeous. 49 in Market. Now last year I did, I was on the design team at a local scrapbook store, and I did a project using this paper collection. I was just seeing if I could find the name of it. I can't find the name of it. A lot of this is not going to work for Marie Antoinette. I mean, like the ledger stuff and the piano and typewriter, that kind of thing. But some of it must be usable, or maybe I can cover up things that aren't according to the time. Actually, I thought I might use this for the cover of the journal. Everything looks appropriate to me, and actually this is French script here, and I like the palette of pink and gray and cream and florals. So again, that's not going to work, but the opposite side, maybe I can use some of the top of it. I also have a ton of scraps left over from that paper, so there might be, little little cut apart things that I can use. You know, butterflies. Not the Eiffel Tower so much, but look at that. But some of these are very, very pretty and pastel. So I've got lots of scraps there. And then in this envelope, I have some more die cuts from that collection. And there's some more trim. Some little blingy stickers. And there's some of those hairstyles. So hopefully I can use some of these things. Lots of paper scraps in here. I think the paper scraps I'll put in there. I'll put the textiles there. And put the die cuts back in the envelope. Come on, guys. So this is very much away from my typical project. I love pink. Pink is my signature color. But the only time I really use pink is at Christmas. I usually do a Christmas, pink Christmas journal. These are some images that came from Reader's Digest. There they are. That's Marie Antoinette. And isn't she wearing pink? What a good girl. I actually had 2 copies of the same book, so that's why I have twice the pictures. I have been saving images of Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette. I think that was her purported lover. And some more images. That one was upside down. Pop those in there. Now, I'll show you the books I've dragged out. Move some of this stuff. So one of the requirements of this collaboration is that I have a minimum number of items to make and a minimum number of materials to use. So here's the list of materials to choose from, and I'm sure there's things that are missing. And this is on I Totally Love It's coffee page, so you can print this off at no cost. And these are suggestions of items to make. So I already have 10 items that I'm going to make, and I think I've already got probably 8 different types of materials to use. I just got this a couple weeks ago, less than a month ago, I'm sure. So again, this is all about, there's the necklace, the affair of the necklace. It was the scam of the century. So lots of things in here, full portraits and things to fussy cut. Actual interiors of, I guess that's Versailles. Look at that. That is absolutely stunning. I like that too. And there's that big dress. Oh, there I have some decoupage paper. There's a blue toile in here and some gold that I might use. It's a tissue that, of course, you know, I got at the thrift store. It must be white in there. Anyway, this is his fashion history book. There we go. There's Louis XV. Turned right to it. Some hairstyles. It's too bad somebody's been in here circling things with pen. All right. Marie Antoinette. Well, there you go. So these could even be painted. Look at these hats. I have this one. This is also a history of fashion. And it's in French, actually. We're a little far ahead yet. Let's keep skipping back. There she is. Follows the Revolution, the French Revolution. Look at that. I've gotten a lot of use out of that one. And I have this classical French music from 1650 to 1800. I've used a lot of this too. And I just thought this was a very attractive looking music paper. So that's what we're going to start with. And let me just check my clock here. Oh, we're 24 minutes in. I think we could get a start on the cover. Let me get some things together. Let's get started with some fabric. So this is a piece of, I think it's a vintage pillowcase. And I think I've had this for probably 20 years. Well, before my junk journaling days. That would have been my quilting days. So for a base, I'm starting with a 9x12 envelope. And I'm just going to use some glue stick. as an adhesive to glue the fabric down. You've seen me do this with my quilted journals. This time I'm doing fabric on the inside and paper on the outside. Okay. It doesn't have to be too precious because I will be sewing anyway. Just make sure I got enough. If you're using fabric in your journal, please iron it. I've seen so many very sad journals with great big lines folded in them or wrinkles, and it looks a little sad. Now, I have been working very hard on my perfectionist tendencies. Can I give them up? No. Will I try to be a little more free? Yes. I think that's going to be healthier and more creative. But I have to have some standards here. I get so much enjoyment out of starching fabric and ironing. Okay, so you'll see I cut off some of the bulk. And I'll just wrap the fabric around the edge. So it's September the 1st. Happy Labor Day. If you're in a place that celebrates Labor Day. It's kind of funny that we celebrate Labor Day, but we seem to be in a society that doesn't appreciate labor unions. You know, it was the labor union movement that gave us weekends. And we're all working for the weekend, as that song used to say. The old song. And 8-hour days. If we didn't have benefits, medical benefits, some of us would be in a lot of trouble. Give this a little more glue. Okay, so I don't want it to look too country. Okay. So I'm going to flip this back over and I'm going to make some extraordinarily tall buckets by just trying to find the right side. I think this is the right side. I'm going to make some extraordinarily tall pockets. And that way that sort of subdues the pink floral. Do you see what I mean? It will be very hard to glue this down, so I'm going to use some clips. Let me grab my clips. Okay, so I have these little clippity things. You can get these most craft stores, I would think. They used to be extraordinarily expensive. I think that's come down. Does that look even? Good enough? So I've just wrapped that around. And I will clip. like that thread there. If you are not someone who sews, leave this step. Glue will work just fine. I prefer, well, first of all, I enjoy stitching. Like I mentioned before, I was a quilter long time ago, for many, many years. And I'm just going to clip this in place. I won't necessarily be sewing in one long U. I think I'll do the bottom first and then deal with the bulk of the fold and then sew the sides. If you have a fabric that looks a little more Marie Antoinette-ish, then you don't need to cover it with this lace. Speaking of textiles, let me show you what I had pulled out before I decided to go this route. I had a whole ton of upholstery fabrics. So these woven ones and some, like that's a velvet, some velvet here, gold. And I still might make a journal out of these fabrics one day. Clearly, that's why I'm keeping them. But when I said I wanted to use those scraps and this paper, this color palette, that's just not going to work. I'm sure you can see that's just not going to work at all. So this will get saved for something else. And I'm also cognizant that I don't want it to look patchworky. I want it to look collaged and like samples of fabrics that, you know, maybe she was choosing a fabric that looked like this for one of her gowns, right? Okay, let me take a break to do some sewing. Stitching is done. So I said you need to iron fabric, but when you're stitching, you also need to press those stitches down, because when you're stitching through paper, it pops some of the paper up. So you can see here, like there's holes, but if you press the stitches down, it's nice and flat. Let me see. I think I was out of camera there. So you can probably see there's holes here along the stitching, but it's very flat here where I've pressed it down. Just using this tool. My friend Alice gave me this tool. She gave me two of them actually. And they are my favorite thing ever. They are my go-to. There is not a crafting episode where you will not see me using this tool. For if I'm gluing two pieces of paper together, I'll use this to make it flat. If I'm sewing, I'm pressing down stitches. So, let me explain why I've decided to go with a one signature. Generally, when I'm making journals, I like to make small signatures and put lots of them in a book spine. So I've had as many as 13, 14, 15 signatures in a journal. The one that I'm working on right now, I'm doing 7 signatures, but I thought for this one, let's go with just a simple, traditional sort of one signature journal that's going to be accessible to lots of people. And if you're if you're not someone who enjoys a single signature, separate your pages and make 3 signatures or 5 signatures. My intention is to do 18 pages in this single signature. So the reason I used a 9 by 12 is because an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper is going to fit in here perfectly once it's folded, just like that. Okay, let's work on the other side. So on this side, I've taped down the edges of the lace. I've taped down the threads. I didn't want any knots. I just wanted everything flat. I don't want anything that could show through the paper. Now, I'm using 12 by 12 paper. So I can cut off the top. But what I'm wondering is, do I want to lay something down first to be a closure? So for example, I could use this pink lace. I won't. I could use this pink ribbon. Oops. I'm feeling like I might. Okay, and I like the wrinkles. But I'm going to need to press 12 inches of it flat. I think I'll just use a little pin there. So I will know where I have to iron, because I want this to lay extremely flat on the surface. I'm back. The ribbon is 1.5 inches. So I drew a line in the center at 4.5 and then 3/4 inch either side, just so that ribbon goes on straight, because if it's up here and down here, it's going to look silly. And a little bit of measuring will give you a better final product. This is probably unnecessary, but just to secure that spine, give it a little more support, I'm adding some masking tape. Okay, let's get working on... I'm going to try to use up this. I've got a little bit of Fabri-Tac left here. And I'd like to get it used up because it's so pricey. So this not only lets me make sure my ribbon is straight on the cover, but I also know where to glue. Just go like that so there's no bumps from the glue. Hold it up in the air so it doesn't get all over your ribbon. Sort of find that center place. This was probably the sash of a little girl's dress. Again, it's just something that's been sitting in the stash for a while. Now, next up. This will fray. I'm going to cut it on an angle. And then I will use my art glitter glue to just run a bead so that the fabric won't fray. Now you might have like legitimate fray check, but this will dry clear and does the trick. Okay, I'll hold that over there so it can dry. And then on this side. So when I think of Marie Antoinette, oh, we're talking about Rococo style. So Rococo style is anything over the top. So, you know, lots of, you know, filigree and plaster embellishments on the walls and cupids, and I mean, think about how wide those skirts were and how high that hair was. Everything was over the top. Okay, we're just going to let those dry so we don't have any issues later. What I'd like to do now is I'm just going to add the tiniest bit of lace to the edge. So this is going to be the front of the journal. So I'm going to put the seam where the lace overlaps at the back. And I will show you how I miter the corners, but let's start with a little of this Fabri-Tac. And the reason I want to add this lace is, one, to, you know, sort of fit in with that Rococo over the top sort of more is more. And at the same time, I'm dealing with 12 by 12 paper, and I can't know that this is going to be exactly 12. It might have been folded wrong in the factory. Old Nancy, with her perfectionist tendencies, would have measured and trimmed and all that other stuff. Not today, Nancy. Okay, so when you come to this end, let me grab a pokey tool so I have my fingers out of it so you can see. Where's my pokey tool? I'll use this. This is just a stitch ripper. So put your point right there at the end where the corner is. Hope I'm showing that. And then bring that. No, I'm doing it wrong. Sorry. No. I did it right. Didn't I? Oh my goodness. I go right to the end. And then back. Okay, I've zoomed right in so that hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just using you can use a pokey tool, or you don't need anything actually. So I'm lifting up a little pucker, and then I'm pressing it in the center so that it wraps around the corner, but it's not bunchy. It doesn't have big, ooh, I'm getting glue everywhere. It doesn't have a lot of bulk there. Oh, geez. Let's clean that up a bit, girl. Keep forgetting I don't have a garbage can in here. Okay, so pinch, push, pinch, push, pucker. What do you think of that? And then actually, a pokey is good for getting that on there. Flat. I think I'll go under the ribbon. My glue's being slow. Trying to match up the edge of the cover with a motif on the lace, and that way you know you're getting it fairly straight. Or you can draw a pencil line. Old Nancy would have drawn a pencil line. What can I say? I think you've probably seen enough of this process. I will finish. Pull back a little bit so I don't have a big bump. I will finish putting the lace down and then we'll come back and apply the paper. Gosh, I hope you saw that okay. I forgot to back up the camera. So I laid that lace underneath the ribbon and I've come up to this corner where I'll do another pinch, pucker, poke. You know what I'm doing. The lace is down, the ribbon's down, paper. So I'm putting the paper to the edge. This is upside down. Remember, it's the other side that's going to be showing. And I'm just going to use a pencil to mark right there. So I'm going to just lay my ruler here. If you use a different cutting method, you do you. Like I said, I was a quilter and I understand quilting rulers. And I just use a utility knife to cut. It's better on a self-healing mat than glass. True. But I wanted to use a clean cutting mat today. I'm thoroughly ashamed of my cutting mat. Okay. Perfect. Now I have to fold it in half. I guess I don't have to, but I'm going to. Now I have to decide if I'm going to ink it. Probably what I will do is just use a little scrap of this and see if I like how it looks with an inked edge. And I'm going to make some kind of a topper here. I'm just considering, do I have time to do that in this? All right. Let's see what we got going on here. So I did fussy cut out this, and then I added liquid pearls. I don't like this at all. Here, I'll take this piece of paper out. It looks goofy. I don't like it. I think it's supposed to go that way. Yeah, that's not going in on the journal. So what my intention is now is I'm going to take some different items from scraps and some of the leftover lace, and I'm just going to build a collage. So I have one scrap of paper here, and it has some French script in here. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I inked up the edge. I tried several different inks: Hickory Smoke, Lost Shadow, this pink one, and ultimately what I've come up with, oops, it's a mixed media ink called Pewter, and it does have sort of a metallic look to it. Let me just ink this photo up. So this isn't distressing the photo, it's adding a lighter edge to give it some dimension. So it looks sort of like almost a beveled look, I guess you could say. I am going to put this lace that matches the lace that we put around there and build a frame out of lace. I'm just trying to figure out how big I want this frame to be. So I'd like a bit here at the bottom. I don't need a pencil for. I think that sort of represents where I was heading. Ooh. So I'm using the ink to remove that white edge. It's very subtle. Okay, let me make sure I've got enough for what I'm thinking. Okay, yeah, that's good. I think I might use something a little fancier around the portrait, and I'll use the lace on here. So I am going to draw some pencil lines on the back. Marie, you need to move. You're in the way, my darling. Okay, so this is 3.5. I'm going to draw a line at 3 1/4, so a 1/4 inch around all the perimeter. Adding some Fabri-Tac. And I've cut these pieces because I'm going to miter the lace. Sorry if my head's in the way. Oop. Come back here, you. Okay. Now, find your sharpest scissors. And where the lace crosses to the corner, cut. Maybe I'll go this way. And then same with this one. I think it's cut, it just, the glue's got it stuck. Okay, so in order to seal those two lumps together, I'm going to go in with a little bit of art glitter glue. I might as well grab a pin because I'm pretty sure this isn't going to run. Now the art glitter glue is going to be clear, won't be shiny, but it will seal the edge of the lace. Just like that. I want to touch it with my finger again. Come on. Why are you giving me a hard time? I'm just going to hold it for a second. It really is worth the effort. You're just going to have to trust me. Come on. There. I just had to put one side over the other. So I'll do the other 3 sides, and where'd Marie go? I'm going to find a kind of a fancier lace to go around her, and see about adding, yeah, some bling or something. Okay, so I'll finish this lace, I'll put lace around her, and then we'll come back and start assembling the collage. Let's give this a shot. Okay, I have a piece of vellum. This was from a vintage greeting card. So I used my decal edge trimmer to do the edge. I added a little bit of distress ink. So now I'm going to glue this down. I hope this comes together quickly. Now this is totally different than I first imagined. That's okay. That's what being creative is all about, is, you know, taking a different look at what you have in front of you. And that little bit of glue rubbed right off. Let me make sure this is fairly straight. Okay, now remember seeing these earlier? So I took the light flowers, the organdy, I guess it is, and pulled them apart, and I had these little fabric flowers, so I just pulled the little doohickey out of them. And these are some pearl thingamabobs, which is the technical term, that were part of that floral spray. So I'm just kind of grouping some of them together like so. Now I'm going to Scotch tape that down. And then when I glue the picture down, that will secure them. Pull this one out a bit. Okay. Now I have this piece that I've cut from this headband doobie. Headband doobie, also a technical term. And just cut it off. So I'm going to use my gem tack to glue that on. I just want to make sure that they're not layered upon each other. So it's going to probably look something like that. Okay. I probably will also do a few invisible stitches just to make sure it absolutely will stick. Last, I will arrange these little flowers. So I've got some tiny bling brads there. And I will arrange those thusly. That's going to be a lot of stuff, so I will do that off camera, and I will give you one last look at Marie here before I glue, or before I finish the video. Okay. And here she is. So I did go a little mad. Extra bling, extra pearls, more flowers than I intended. But I've glued it to the front of that envelope. The cover is complete, and I'm very happy with how she turned out. And I hope you thought this was sort of an interesting project too. So remember, I'm this month's guest collaborator for Junk Journal Madness, which is hosted by Susan at I Turtly Love It. I'd love for you to join in, so create your own September project and tag me at Wishes and Weeds and use the hashtag JJMadness so we can all see your gorgeous work. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. Come back again and we'll work on the next project for Marie Antoinette. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.